Hey guys, John here from etrailer.com, and today I'd like to show you the Yakima Outpost HD ladder rack system. It looks a little bit different than other ones, but it's designed to look a little more sleek, a little more sporty maybe, but it still has the same functions as we would have with a normal ladder rack system. It allows us to put cargo into our bed and still store some stuff on top of it. The Outpost HD has a 500-pound weight capacity, and Yakima has thought of us when it comes to multiple tie-down points. So we have tie-down points here at the end of our crossbars. We also have tie-down loops here, hooks here. They really gave us a lot of different options to securing our cargo. Here on the side of our legs, you'll see each of them have 2 bolt holes. This is used just to install a sidebar if we would like to, and really just increases how much cargo we can carry. That will depend on whether we can use it or not, depends on where we can locate our legs. During the install, you'll see we have a drop-in bedliner, so we're kind of limited on where we can put these, but that is an option for you. Our HD bar systems do allow us to carry heavier loads, but at the same time, if we remove the screw underneath the cap, we can remove the cap, and we have access to the T-track system, so we are still able to utilize a lot of accessories that we would normally use on a crossbar systems, like bike racks, cargo carriers, those kind of things that we would normally put on a roof. We can now fit them on here as well. Our HD crossbars are a little bigger than normal crossbars that we would find on like a roof rack, but if we remove the bolt from the underside of the cap, we can remove the cap, and now we have access to a T-channel, which we would normally use to install like T-bolt systems for maybe bike racks or cargo carriers or those kinds of things. So we're still able to utilize those kind of accessories on this crossbar system. Just to give you an idea of what kind of cargo we can carry in our truck bed, we have a drop-in liner, so I'm measuring from the top of one of the ridges. So from the top of that to the bottom of our crossbar is right at 32 inches. So it gives you a good idea of what kind of cargo we can load under here, you know, coolers, tents, duffel bags, that kind of stuff. But at the same time, we're able to move our crossbars in and out depending on what our bed rails look like. So here we have them spaced further apart. This is going to be better for longer loads, like maybe lumber or a ladder or something like that. But if we're able to, we could probably move this a little closer, and then that would allow us to install something maybe like a bike rack, rooftop cargo carrier, even a rooftop tent. Rooftop tent would be great for this because it's not going to be sitting up above. We still have somewhat of aerodynamics because this crossbar system sits lower than a regular ladder rack would. One of the things I really like about this ladder rack system is that we have the ability to lock it to our truck bed. So here on this side, the rear passenger side, as well as the front driver's side, we can use this locking cap on our hardware. And so now we actually have a lock instead of just our hardware to help deter people from tampering with our ladder rack system. The great thing about this is that Yakima uses their regular lock cores. So if we have other Yakima accessories that do use those lock cores, we can still get everything keyed the same, so that way we just using one key for all the locks. Now that we've gone over some of the features, let's show you how easy it is to install. Now we already have the first crossbar installed, the one closer to the cab, but we're going to go over how to install it. It's going to be the same process. We're first going to grab our bases. Now there are 2 holes in the bases. You always want to make sure that the smaller of the 2 holes is facing towards the middle of the bed. So if we were installing this for the front bar, we would install it this way on the passenger side, so this is facing towards the back of the vehicle. For the crossbar further towards the back of the pickup, we want the smaller hole facing towards the front of the vehicle. So when we place the base on our side rails, this lip is going to overhang. So we'll put it there. And the next step is we're going to grab 2 of the longer bolts, 2 spacers, and 2 of these J-clamps and fit them to our base to hold it in place. Put the bolt through the spacer, drop it through here, and then this rubberized part of our clamp is going to go up and under our bed rail. We'll come up and under, and then we'll thread our bolt through, And we're just going to, you might need to move the base a little bit forward and backwards just depending on what kind of space you have under your bedroom. And then we're just going to install this hardware lightly right now. We're not going to tighten it down yet, because when we install the other side, we need to make sure that we have enough room to, so it lines up together. So I'm actually going to have to move this back, which is why we install it lightly. I'll move this back a little bit, because I only have limited room here under my base rail system. And let's tighten down the front clamp. And as we were demonstrating, there's no specific measurements as to where to install these clamps. It's really just what works best for you. This truck has a drop-in bedliner, so I think that's affecting where we have to install this a little bit. But it really just depends on the load that you're carrying. It depends on what kind of space you have in your truck bed to begin with, that kind of stuff. So the nice thing about this is that we do build on this system, and so it's really easy to move around if we need to. So we've got this one lightly installed. We'll repeat the same process for the other side. With the hardware for our bases loosely installed, we can now take some measurements to make sure we have everything lined up correctly. I like using specific spots on the pickup, so I like using the stake pockets because I know that those are going to be in the exact same spot on either side. From the edge of our rear stake pocket, and we'll just pick a point on the base just to kind of line up to the other side. So we'll lay this down. I'm just going to go with this line here. So we'll go with 8 inches. We'll line it up on the other side to match up with this, and then tighten down all our hardware. So we have all our hardware tightened down for our bases. We'll grab these 2 tools out of our installation kit and the leg portions. And when we install these, we want the longer end to be facing towards the center of the truck. Just like with the smaller hole on the base, same way with this. We want this part facing the middle. So this will be for our passenger side, this will be for our driver's side since this is the rear bar. So grab one of the tools. These are 2 different bolts because one side is going to have a lock on it, or we're going to be able to add the lock to it. So you just find the tool that matches the bolt. We'll loosen up this kind of door compartment here, which then allows us to simply place our leg, pull that up, hand tighten it, and we'll use our tool to snug it down. Repeat the same process for the other side, and then we'll be ready to install the crossbar. We will start by removing the cap. There's a screw on the underside of it. So use the smaller of these tools to loosen up that screw. Let's flip this over real quick to get the screw out. Remove the cap, and we'll slide 2 of these brackets in. So push one towards the other end of the crossbar. One we'll keep on this end of the crossbar. Put the cap back in place. Tighten on this screw, this bolt, and now we're ready to place this on top of our leg system. So these brackets have 2 holes in them. There's 2 holes in our legs. And so we will try to line these brackets up as best we can. We'll install the hardware. We'll take the smaller bolt, put the lock washer on, then the washer, and try to line it up here. Might take you just a few tries to get it started. You might have to lift the bar up and move this bracket back and forth a little bit. Once we get it started, we will loosely install all of our hardware on either side, because then what we have to do is we need to take a tape measure and measure the ends of our crossbars to make sure our crossbar is centered before we tighten everything down. When we take our measurements, we need to measure from the edge of the crossbar to the edge of our leg here. So that looks about 10 1/4, so I'm going to come over to the other side, and that's 9. So we're going to move our crossbar over a little bit, You just kind of play with it until it gets to where you have the same measurement on both sides, then we'll tighten down our hardware. So we've got everything lined up, all our hardware's tightened down. The last step to the installation is to grab our locking cap here, or cover. We'll put it over, it's the longer and skinnier bolt. Make sure we have it in the unlock position, place it over the cap, lock it, and now that's going to help prevent people from tampering with our hardware. And that's going to complete our look at the Yakima Outpost HD ladder rack system on our 2020 F-250. Thanks for watching.